All right, so we're reading Sri Nisargadatta's book, I Am That. We are on chapter 35, which is, let me get the title for that. There it is. The greatest guru is your inner self. And last week we had read about justifying sitting on an animal skin, and he took care of that. But it keeps going back and forth about from two different perspectives, really. And, it occurs to me, not having had my realization yet, but that this realization is, it's a perspective almost. It's, we don't know where we're standing because we don't know who we are. We don't know what we are. We know we're human beings, but we've made the definition up based on just what it seems like from experience. And we've included body and mind at the very center of our analysis of what we are, who we are. And because we've chosen that particular perspective, we only get a particular view on the world. And from that particular view on the world, we build our life, which puts us in even odder states of being, more unique states of being that make us even more different than other body minds. And it just keeps continuing on like that. And to find a perspective where you look at the world not as a physical being, but as a dream being, that understanding that you're made of the same stuff as the rest of the room, and understanding that this dream being is only holding a particular perspective that you've arbitrarily chosen, because this dream can be viewed from billions of perspectives. And so right now he's kind of working this out with this particular questioner, because Maharaj really knows that he's a spirit, that he is spirit. And he really knows that the dream is within himself, and that he is not in the dream, that he's the container of the dream, and that he can move freely through the dream. And the questioner is saying, well, still you have a body, right? And you depend on it. Oops, where did I get just... Boy. Sorry, my computer, my finger... my finger laid down on the side, on the arrow on the side, and I flipped 20 pages backwards. All right. Actually, I switched 5 chapters forward. 36. Okay. All right. So still you have a body and you depend on it, which seems obvious, right? We all do. Maharaj says, again, you are assuming that your point of view is the only correct one, right? So again, he calls it a point of view, right? So in ourself, there must be a place that we can place our sense of self that will give us a better perspective, or give us a truer perspective. So he says, again, you assume that your point of view is the only correct one. I repeat, I was not, I am not, and I shall not be a body. What do you think he's trying to say? He could be trying to say that he's not a body. that our first assumption is a wrong one. And this is a good place to camp in a meditation, because it is such a fundamental assumption on our part that I bet that the ramifications of not being this body are rather intense. And if we did a lot more meditation, just kind of ruminating this, stopping asking the mind, who am I? And then immediately blocking off anything that's body oriented, so go into your inner world, block off that whole section of body, and what are you left with? You're going to be left with mind and its watcher. So he says, I tell you again, I repeat, I was not, I am not, and I will never be a body. To me, this is a fact, right? It's one of his fundamental assumptions, and it's not even an assumption. This is a knowing for him now, For us, we work on it becoming a fundamental assumption on our part. To me, this is a fact. I, too, was under the illusion of having been born, but my guru made me see that birth and death are mere ideas, right? And we talk about this. Everything is a thought. Everything is a thought. You're into everything right now. Those things that you think you're seeing, you're looking at a thought of seeing them. Those things you think you're hearing and breathing and smelling and tasting and touching, you are observing the symbols of those things. You are not having a direct experience of a body mind. He says, I was under this illusion also, but my guru made me see birth and death. They're just ideas. They're not real. They don't actually happen, but from the perspective of the body, they're going to happen. So if you think that you're a body, and that's the source of all of our wrong understanding, we could call that the source of sin, really, is our misidentification with body mind. That if we hold on to that, then we actually feel death. We actually experience dying because we're convinced that we are the body and the body is dying. So I'm dying, right? But in fact, this is not the truth. He says that his guru made him see that birth and death are mere ideas. Birth is merely the idea, I have a body, right? So you're reborn every single night. Every single night you go into your dream and take on a new body. So you have a new body. You've been born again. How many times now? I saw a joke like that one time in a little book from Bhaskar. A Hindu and a Christian are meeting and they're introducing each other. And the Christian says, I'm a born again Christian. And the Hindu says, I'm a born again and a born again and a born again Hindu. So we're all multiply born again because we have this illusion of having been born and that we're going to die. Death is merely the thought, I have lost my body. Now, when I know I am not a body, the body may be there or the body may not be there. What difference does it make? The body mind is like a room. It is there, but I need not live in it all the time. You see, there he gives us a very nice clue. The body mind is like a room. So it's a space that you inhabit, right? And a space that you walk into, that you've walked into. But it's when you're in that space, you can only see that space. Like right now, I get a little windows view of a backyard, but I can't really see any more of Lafayette, Colorado. I just really see my one room, and here I am, seemingly. The body mind is like a room. It is there, but I do not have to live in it all the time. So he's talking like Thakur talks about, that you can go up and down these levels of consciousness, these perspectives, these ways of seeing the world, which in a way you could reference the chakras that way also. Each of the chakras has its own particular perspective that it provides on the world itself. And the questioner says, yet there is a body and you do take care of it. Maharaj, the power that created the body takes care of it. All right, so this is when we do that practice where we start seeing that we're not the doer, right? When we begin to understand that we're like we are in the dream, but to be in the dream and know that you're dreaming is a very different experience from being in the dream and believing the dream to be real. When you believe the dream to be real, then you're very focused on what's happening and you're reacting to it. And you have fears and anxieties about the outcomes of it. But when you're in the dream and you know that it's a dream, you know that its nature is unreal, you're not going to react, or at least reacting is a choice because it's not real. You can't be hurt. Those lions that are chasing you, you can turn around and put out your hand to pet them, right? Because you know that they're dream lions. And even if they bite you, it's just a dream body that they're biting. So he says, yet there is a body and you take care of it. So he's assuming you have a body, so you're obviously in the body. But you see, Maharaj says, yes, there's a body, but I don't have to spend all my time in it. right? He can go to that level of consciousness where he knows that he's not the body, and he doesn't have to experience the dream as real. He can experience the dream as dream. So he knows when he's in that state of knowing the dream as dream, he knows the dream takes care of itself, right? The dream is running its own narrative, and I can follow it or not follow it. But if you're within the dream, you can only follow it, right? Unless you develop a faith great enough in the fact that it's a dream. Once you've developed that, then you can control the dream, right? So the questioner says, well, we're jumping from level to level all the time, right? In our conversation, we go up and talk from this perspective, then we come down and talk to this perspective, then from this perspective. Maharaj says, well, there's only two levels to consider: the physical, the level of facts, and mental, the level of ideas. I am beyond them both. Neither your facts nor your ideas are mine. What I see is beyond. Cross over to my side and see with me. See, again, he's sort of alluding to a perspective there again. Come across to my side, right? And then you can see with me. So it's a vantage point. It's a place of setting our awareness of self, right? And we've talked about the two possibilities that we have. Here in the mind is when we're in the dream. The dream is real, right? And when we place our awareness here and look at the dream, we're observers of dream. We're observers of the world. And so the two perspectives you get to choose from is here, the thought of me, acting and moving all the time as the thought of yourself. And then all of the other thoughts affect this thought of yourself, but you've made that the root of being. So it's affecting you, right? If you place it here, then you watch it affect body, watch it affect mind. But you are here. You're separate from it. You can't be touched by it. So it's not affecting you. It's affecting either body or mind. Right? So there's two levels: the physical of facts and the mental of ideas. Now, the physical of facts is only when you believe yourself to be body identified. When you believe yourself to be the body, the world takes on, you measure it by the physical nature of your senses. So you're interpreting constantly a physical world. When you're dealing with just the ego of self, the world of ideas, or the observer of ideas, then you are beginning to understand. You've kind of moved from just being body centered now to being mind centered, and then pretty soon you're going to be self centered. What an unfortunate arrival that would be. Self centered to be capital S centered, knowing yourself to be that self in everyone. So what I see is beyond, right? So he's looking through senses to what's behind the senses, looking through the movie screen to be aware of the white screen behind it that's constant, that's never changing. What I see is beyond. Cross over to my side and see with me. Questioner, what I want to say is very simple. As long as I believe I am the body, I must not say God will look after my body. God will not. He will let it starve. He'll let it sicken. He'll let it die. We don't know that, but that's the fear of it, right? We don't know that. I can tell you it's not necessarily true.
Swami, I always think of that statement where Ramakrishna said he didn't want to become a ghoul.
Yeah.
And I always think, well, how does someone like, in that position, how do they know the appropriate engagement with the body and the dream in order to walk that balance of not becoming a ghoul?
Well, I think Tagore did it by praying to the mother. He just told the mother, "Oh God, don't make me a sadhu like that. I don't want to be out by the garbage pile with my arms around the dogs, sharing their best bone." He also didn't want to become a dry sadhu, a pure jnani. So he had his preferences, but of course, at that level, they're less than scratches on the water. But yeah, I mean, it's only funny because he would only pray that in a lower conscious state, of course. seeing the body mind where there's some value to that. If mother were to make him like a ghoul, he would be more than happy there. You know, the unhappiness only belongs from this lower perspective looking up, like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
it only distresses the other people who see it.
Yes, yes. Well, the people, yeah, who wonder what's going on. What is samadhi? Oh my gosh. Right. What I want to say is very simple. I must not say that God will look after my body. God will not. He will let it starve, sicken, and die. This is the fundamental fear. This is what keeps us in our body. Is this belief here? This what keeps us identified, because we see ourselves as the protector of ourselves. And in this case, we see ourselves as the protector of the body, right? So I can't leave the body to God. Look what God does with everybody's body. Everybody's dying everywhere all the time. He's just going to discard the thing. I can't trust him with mine. So I have to take care of it. That's the fundamental lie.
But when you
That's
beg, are you taking care of it, or is somebody else taking care of it? I mean, if
uh,
you
well, it's 1 degree removed. The beggar, the people that I'm begging from, they are my job. So it's coming through that. Yes. The householder begs of his job. So it comes through that, and so we have this extracted idea. But when it comes regularly on the same piece of paper at the same date of the month, it's a lot more associated with the cause and effect. I'm doing this than it does when it's showing up in random checks, different amounts at different times, and sometimes not. It's a little bit of a different experience, but you're right in the sense that if you abstract at one level, we're all taking money from God, but we all have named our sources as different, right? And
we're all
so,
beggars. I mean, being a beggar is sort of it's extra freedom, it seems. I don't need, but
yeah, well, looking at it from both sides, yes. If you're a beggar of God, uh, what an idea! I'm a beggar of God. Yes.
we are. We're beggars of God, right? I mean,
No, well, we are, but we're not. We see ourselves as beggars of God because we don't believe ourselves to be heirs. We don't believe ourselves to be spirit. And so we make a lot of assumptions about our relationship with God. And one of them is that he won't take care of us if we don't take care of ourselves, right? The Western, it's funny because Western Christianity quotes this all the time, but it's not a quote. It does not say it anywhere in the Bible. God takes care of those who take care of themselves. That is not a Christian scripture, but it is quoted as one in Western culture all the time. God takes care of those who take care of themselves. Not true. God takes care of those, period. All. He takes care of everyone. Some people blame their jobs. Some people blame faith. Some people aren't blaming anything. They just walk along and enjoy the present. Oops. Sorry about that. All right. So God will not take care of the body. He'll let it sicken and die. Maharaj, well, what else do you expect from a mere body? Do you think you're going to prevent your body from starving, being sickening and dying? So even from a certain perspective, that's absurd. Yes, this is the world. This is Yama's kingdom here. We are in the land of Yama. There is no doubt. Like Nachiketus, we have traveled here. And here we are. And we're in the waiting room. We're waiting for Yama to show up, to come and take us. Right? Because in this land, nobody escapes Yama. So we're in Yama's waiting room together. And he says, what do you expect from a mere body? Of course, the body's going to go, accept that. Accept that. And if you accept that, you have to accept that either that means you're going to go, or that means that you're not the body and something else is going to happen to you. But he says, why do you expect more from a mere body? Why are you so anxious about it? Right? Because you think you are the body, you want it to be indestructible. You can extend its life considerably by appropriate practices. But for what ultimate good? Yeah, you could probably eke out another, 8 months by not smoking, and maybe another year by running. and maybe another 6 or 8 months by not eating any fat, whatever. But ultimately, kids, it's going, let it go. Take care of it, because it's your temple. Take care of it, you know. Some of you are living in, well, I won't say that. Oh goodness, I almost got myself in trouble. Make sure it's a nice, modest little building you're assembling here. Don't live in a McMansion. Keep it a reasonable size. Keep your body in reasonable shape. Take care of it, but don't at all think that your story is going to follow that of a body. It's not going to. Part of the reason we want this body to be indestructible is because we know in our nature we have the idea that we are indestructible. And if we identify with the body, we want the body to have the same identity that we feel about ourselves, that we're not destructible, that we're immortal, that we're ever free, that we're ever blissful. This is what we're looking for because this is what we know ourselves intuitively to be. And so when we inhabit this body mind and it doesn't provide us our natural self, that's what we're doing in this world. We're trying to create our intuitive natural self. We're trying to become infinitely powerful by getting enough money. We're trying to be infinitely secure in our oneness by having name and fame. We're looking for our comforts. We're looking for our freedom, but we're looking for our freedom through desire, which is impossible. So you see this funny conundrum of living here in this world, believing something completely untrue about ourselves. And because of that untrue belief, we're scattering our efforts into recreating ourself, our infinite self, in a finite world. And that's why all of us are terribly frustrated this morning, searching around. We know something's wrong. We can smell something burning, but we have no idea what it is. We're just, yeah, there's still something wrong. Don't know what it is. Questioner, it is better to live long and healthy. It gives us a chance to avoid the mistakes of childhood and youth. No, it didn't. No, it doesn't at all. It gives us a chance to avoid the mistakes of. How can a long life and a healthy life help you afford to help you to avoid the mistakes of childhood and youth? You don't get it until after you've already created those mistakes. I don't understand this guy's thinking on this one. It's better to live long and healthy. Okay, maybe, right? If we're going to wake up in the matrix, that's probably true. Let's go ahead and live long and healthy. But if we're going to wake up in pure bliss, I'm not so sure it's the better thing to live long and healthy. It gives us a chance to avoid the mistakes of childhood and youth, the frustrations of adulthood, the miseries and imbecility of old age. There it is, the miseries and imbecility of old age. I really want to. Thank you for telling me that was coming, Tunga. That is delightful. So we've got a childhood that's full of mistakes. We've got adulthood, which is full of frustrations. And then we've got old age, which is nothing but misery and imbecility. I don't know which of those three am I longing for. I don't know. Not sure. I'm not sure I really fit in any of those areas.
And the
So
thing is, if his old age ended in imbecility and all that, then did he really avoid the mistakes of his childhood? I
maybe
mean,
he's making them up. Yeah, no, the question really doesn't make any sense. But I love it because frankly, this is what our questions sound like to an enlightened soul. They're like, what, what, what twist are you putting in there? What? How did you get yourself in that condition? So Maharaj breaks it down. He says, by all means, live long. Nothing wrong with that. Sure, keep the body forever if you want, as long as you can, anyway. Did you ever see that Death Becomes Her, that movie? Wonderful. It's a wonderful movie. It's about two LA socialite women who find a guru and he gives them the elixir of life and it makes their bodies immortal. So they pay a huge amount of money to get this elixir. They drink it and they're both immortal. But what he doesn't tell them is that the body still can wear out, so like if you but it doesn't heal itself anymore. And so what's really funny is these two very beautiful socialites now are immortal, but they hate each other. And when they find out that they both got the elixir, they're horribly jealous of each other, and they're trying to finish each other off for the whole movie. It's a comedy. So they're trying to kill each other. And as they kill each other, they push, one of them pushes them down the stairs. And of course, they fall down this huge flight of stairs. And it is hilarious the way they run that fall. It goes on forever. And she's breaking her arms and she's breaking her neck, and the whole body's just turning into this crumpled. And at the end, she stands up and her head's on backwards and her arms are at weird shapes. And she's like that for eternity now. The body is in that condition. So now they have to go to this special physician that, cements their bones back together and fixes all of the things that they're doing wrong with with their body that doesn't heal anymore. All of that to say, you see, if you this really doesn't make any sense, this mixture of the immortal with the mortal, that to see ourselves as bodies and wanting them to last forever within this world where everything's decaying and everything's coming apart and everything has an end and everything has a beginning, that it really doesn't make sense that we are this, that we're caught in a very odd mixture of paradoxes, where
wonder why bother,
well, yeah, that's the thing. That's how we know that something's up, right? Because we're constantly running into these inner paradoxes, where we think and are free in a mind, and yet we are also physical and trapped in a body that has a very short extension of its limits. A very limited ability to see beyond itself, and actually something that doesn't normally see beyond itself. It's just all about itself. That's the very birth of selfishness, this egoism. So he says, by all means, live long, but you are not the master. Okay, this is going to be the problem. The problem is that you, as a particular, think that you're in charge, think that you're doing, think that you're responsible, think that you're planning, but you're not the master. So be here, no problem, be here, but understand something. You're not the master of here. Can you decide the days of your birth and death? We are not speaking the same language. Yours is a make-believe talk. And why does he say that? Because all of the descriptions that we use of ourselves are only good for right now and right here, right? Because the body and the mind change all the time, and you can't always say the same things about yourself. So he's saying you're living in a make-believe world where you talk about things as they are in this moment, but they're going to change in the next moment. They're not going to any longer be what you describe them to be. So you're talking in a make-believe talk. Everything hangs on suppositions and assumptions, right? Because you can't see anything as it is because you don't know how you are. And if you don't know what you are, how are you going to define anything else in a relative world, right? In a relative world, you can only know something by its relationship to another thing. That's the name of relativity. That's why, you only know something is big because something else is small, right? And so this world, we only know things because of duality, right? And so when we describe things according to duality, we're in a made-up world, because in our true perspective, our true self, we can see both sides of the coin simultaneously. We don't see a world of dual. We don't see a world of relativity. So yours is a make-believe talk. Everything hangs on suppositions and assumptions. You speak with assurance about things that you are not sure of. Our entire past, not quite sure really what happened there, what was real and what was perspective, right? And the questioner says, well, therefore I'm here. I've got this big mess, and the mess makes me know I'm here. Maharaj, you are not yet here, right? Until you're out of egoism, you haven't stepped out of the past, right? Ego is purely composed of the past, and that's who you think you are. So you believe yourself to be the composition of your past, So therefore you have a completely made up way of viewing yourself. It's just the sum of your imagined past. He says, you're not here yet. I am here. Come in. But you don't. You want me to live your life, to feel your way, to use your language. I cannot, and it will not help you. You must come to me. Words are of the mind. Bing! Another giant buzzer point right here. This is very, very important. You can't win this video game without having this treasure right here that he just gave you. This treasure is necessary for your quest. Pick it up now. Words are of the mind, and the mind obscures and distorts. Hence the absolute need to go beyond words and move over to my side, right? So this place beyond mind, this place in the heart is a real place, right? It is the perspective of enlightenment, this absolute unchanging shrine of the heart, to be before mind. So you're not describing yourself in words. You're not looking for meaning in words. You're not looking for a way of describing the universe, right? There's a place that leaves all of that behind. This is an utter shutting down of the paraphernalia that you are currently using to define your world. So it's not a matter of just adding the right things to the mind, the right thoughts, the right truths, the right philosophies and whatnot. And suddenly, your eyes are going to roll and hit sevens all the way across and bingo, bingo, you're enlightened. It's not like that. It's not putting the right thing in, giving that lever a pull and hoping that ching, 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 I'm enlightened. That's not the thing. This is throwing everything in the trash can and walking out of the casino. That's what this is doing. This is finally getting dead tired of all these bells and whistles ringing and drunk people falling out of chairs and, broke people shoving their money into a machine that won't give it back. When you've had enough of this world, where you've had enough of everybody trying to win the jackpots and nobody really winning at all, then you basically throw all your chips in the trash, throw your drink in the trash, you wipe your face, you look for that exit door, which won't be marked because they don't want you out of there. And you stumble along in a room with no clocks, no windows, and apparently no doors, trying to find your way out. Do you see the nature of this world? We recreate it everywhere, we recreate it everywhere. So we're trying to get out of the casino. We're not changing machines, right? We're not changing games. We're not changing perspectives. We're throwing out just a complete wrong jumble of ideas of what we are. And we're accepting no words in return. We don't want to replace it with another paradigm, another set of words. We're going to sit in silence and know now. That's what we're going to do. We're going to sit in silence and know. We're going to know what we are. We're not going to be able to say it because it doesn't belong to this world. It's the capsule of this world, right? And so we're not going to listen to the mind. We're not going to go to the mind and say, hey, show me something, all right? We're not going to do that. We're going to shut the mind up. We're going to not even look at it because we're looking inward and we're before the mind. When we're out here looking inward, the first thing we run into is mind. We think, oh, that's what it means to dive deep. Think deeply. That's what it means. Think deeply. No, I mean, that is a way of, that's a means of getting to the point of understanding that's not it. So it is important to think deeply, but thinking deeply is not where we find the answer. We find the answer below thinking deeply. We find the answer in the silence before thinking. Right. So we don't step into thinking. We don't put our finger in that pond to create the ripples of thought. That's not going to help us. We keep our fingers out of the pond and we just observe. We observe everything simultaneously. And in that we come to a knowing, right? A knowing that's not going to fit into a word. So the absolute need to go beyond words and move over to my side, right? Come across that line of egoism, step into the heart, the shrine of the heart, view mind, view body from the perspective of indifference. It is not you. It's not related to you. And when they silence, when you withdraw all of your probes, all of your information probes from the body mind, withdraw them into yourself, into this silence, and in there just know. Nobody has to tell you anything. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to do anything. Just come into this silent place and be yourself for the first time. Not the thought of yourself, but yourself. So the questioner says, well, take me over. Come get me. Maharaj, I am. I'm doing it. But you're resisting. Right? You still want your ideas. You love being without a body, but you still want a partner. You love the idea of being immortal, but you still want a body. Right? So we're afraid to let go. We can't imagine what's beyond words. Nothing's beyond words. What's beyond thinking? Nothing's beyond thinking. See, these are our wrong assumptions. I'm doing it, but you resist. You give reality to concepts, while concepts are distortions of reality. Abandon all conceptualization and stay silent and attentive. There it is. That's the whole, if there is a task, which is questionable, but if there is a task, this is it. Abandon all conceptualization. Stop conceiving. Stop naming. Stop explaining. Right? Stop trying to make sense of experience. Experience is arbitrary and random and dependent on a constantly changing mind and body to interpret it. So abandon all conceptualization. What are concepts? Your gender is a concept. Abandon it. Your name is a concept. Abandon it. Your sexuality is a concept. Abandon it. Your age is a concept. Abandon it. Your job, your life, your children, your family, these are all concepts. Abandon them, it says. So abandon all conceptualization. Stay silent. Don't replace them with a new concept. Just throw them away and be silent and attentive. Why? Because it's through this being attentive that we know isness. Right? It's through this attentiveness in silence that we become aware of the divine. That's where we hear the voice of the divine. To abandon conceptualization and staying silent, that's pure mind. And in pure mind, we hear God. And this is when we find all of the gems that Ramakrishna teases us about all the time. Dive deep. Just outside the gates, of the self, there lies all these gems to be found. So abandon all conceptualization, stay silent, be attentive, be earnest about it, and it will be well with you. There's a beautiful promise right there. Be earnest about it, be sincere. Really mean it in your effort, and all will be well with you. That's all it takes. Be sincere and earnest in your quest. God will take care, will assume responsibility for your quest, and you just keep going. All will be well with you. All right. Anybody want to ask a question or make a comment about that little section? We're jumping into 36.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah.
When he's talking about being attentive, he's just talking about being in the heart space. And is that, or being attentive in terms of discrimination to the real versus the unreal, or the change?
Yes. Here, the discerning between the real and unreal probably never stops. That little fishnet of a veil of discernment is probably going to have to stay there for quite some time, because this whole port here where we're abandoning all conceptualization, the mind's not going to let go of that stuff. The mind's, you're going to say, throw that out. The mind's going to be like, oh, okay, here's another one. right? That's what the mind's going to do. So you're going to need that discernment running, but the discernment's not going to be the thing itself. So there'll be like a veil made of fishnet in front of you. That's your veil of discernment, but you can easily see through it. But it's going all the time to prevent the mind from reconceptualizing and replacing anything that you're trying to say neti to, not this, not this. And so this attention is non-specific attention, right? So it's putting your energy to all open windows simultaneously and in the same proportion. So you're not interested in any particular thing, no matter where it's coming from, whether it's a sensation from body, whether it's a thought from mind, whether it's an idea from memory, all those things, you don't care. You're aware of all of them. You're going to see all of it, but you're not going to attach to any particular. You're going to stay general, because remember, he says pure awareness it has no objects in it, right? Which means no particulars. So we're trying to mimic our true state, which is awareness alone. We become conscious when there's an object in awareness. When we've created a sense of other about something, then we're conscious. We've changed from awareness to consciousness, right? And now we're in the world of consciousness. We've got all these objects everywhere around us, and we have a perspective that we've chosen among objects, among the relative world. So now we're dealing with the thought of ourself. We're no longer dealing with ourself. We've now conceptualized a sense of me, and we're hanging all kinds of mental and physical attributes on it: genders, sexualities, ages, nationalities, races.
Yeah,
all of
but
that.
when you're in the heart space, then all those go by itself. There's the particulars don't come. But unfortunately for me, it's like it's momentary, right? And you pretty much again dragged into. But I guess in what you're saying is also that even as you cognize the world, you're cognizing it from the heart space, right?
Yes.
So the both of them are working at the same time.
Yes.
And therefore, even though you may look at the objects outside, it's still in a non-particular way. It's
right.
Right. And so the idea, I guess the problem I run into is that when you're in that heart space, the triggers are great. Sometimes the trigger is by itself, but also, when you listen to the truth, listen to the words and, that the sages have to say, you automatically, go into the heart space, right?
Well, no, heart space is an abandonment.
Yeah, but the trigger, I'm just talking about the trigger in
right.
Of like when you listen to the truth, it serves as a trigger to retreat into the space.
Yes, when you see something, right? When you see something change, or you recognize that you're looking at something that changes, then you just lose interest in it. You keep the observation, right? But you let that thing float away. So it's really just not being interested in any particular thing, which is a very challenge, maybe even impossible to a certain degree. But we can get a taste. We can get a split second, which is all that's necessary. Mother will play. She'll give you that split second, and then you'll go looking for it for 20 years, and then you'll stumble on it again.
Yeah. People join with others who of similar thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when we just keep going with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So abandon all conceptualization, stay silent, and be attentive. Be earnest about it, and all will be well with you. So don't worry. Don't let the stress about non-realization become big enough that it becomes the cause of non-realization.
Right. That is very true.
Yeah. So he's saying do all of this, but chill out. Yeah. Chill out a little bit. Give yourself, be kind to the mind, be kind to the body, keep them friends, but keep the finger on the button the whole time. Don't let up. And the things that we're not letting up on is being aware. That's the thing we're always trying to do. Being aware, that awareness, that pure awareness, that is the presence. of
Yeah.
God. And so for us bhaktas, for people who have an ideal, a chosen ideal, having that bhakta, that ideal in mind, having Mother there, having Shiva there, having Rama there, having Jesus there, whatever, however we've named it, that is a truer step than not having anything named and believing we're there. So,
Yeah.
so have the company of your chosen ideal. That will help you to know, to be able to see the conceptualization so that you can discard it. It'll help you see the unreality of the changing so that you can discard it. And those confusions and whatnot can be taken care of through conversation with the chosen ideal within the mind, and it can be discarded like that. So the presence and the awareness are the same. So in Jnana speak, we're trying to just be fully aware with no particular. In Bhakti speak, we're doing the same thing. We're just trying to be fully aware of the presence of the beloved, of the reality.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we stay silent and go. But really, all of this, remember, all of this is not an effort. All of this is not something that needs to be done, because this is our natural state. So it's a returning to our natural state by relaxing and letting go, and letting and making ourselves available to the divine for this repair work, as it were, to make ourselves available. But don't tie your own ego into it and get impatient and then struggle and then battle, and everything becomes all worked up. Then it's counterintuitive. So chill out. Let what's that horrible bumper sticker? Let go, let God.
Mother's message this morning was be content. So,
Yes.
so I said, okay.
Yeah, that's very good, because to maintain a state of contentment is to do the same work, right?
Yeah.
To maintain contentment is the same work as this. Abandon all conceptualization, stay silent, be attentive. All right, chapter 36. Killing hurts the killer, not the killed. Questioner. 1,000 years ago, a man lived and died. Okay. His identity, Antakarana, reappeared in a new body. Why does he not remember his previous birth? And if he does, can the memory be brought into consciousness? Maharaj, how do you know that the same person reappeared in a new body? A new body may mean a new person altogether. Questioner. Well, imagine a pot of ghee. When the pot breaks, the ghee remains and can be transferred to another pot. The old pot had its own scent, the new one its own. The ghee will carry the scents from pot to pot in the same way the personal identity is transferred from body to body. Maharaj, it is all right. When there is the body, its peculiarities affect the person. Without the body, we have the pure identity and the sense of I am. But when you are reborn in a new body, where is the world formerly experienced? Right? So he says, even if you are reborn in a new body, where is the old world that you're wanting to remember? Where is that? Questioner. Everybody experiences its own world. Maharaj, in the present body, the old body, is it merely an idea or is it a memory? That's a good question. Is your idea of a previous birth, is it just an idea, or is it a memory, or is there a difference? Well, it's an idea, of course. How can a brain remember what it has not experienced? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Wow, that I can hardly stand to walk by that one, because that's not the point of the question, but wow, what a statement. How can a brain remember what it has not experienced? Maharaj, you have answered your own question, indeed. Why play with ideas? Be content with what you are sure of. And the only thing you can be sure of is I am. You exist, right? That's the only thing you can be sure of. Stay with that and reject everything else. This is yoga, right? So stick with the only thing that you know. I am. Just stick with that. No other ideas are necessary. Don't play around with in the kingdom of ideas. They're just toys. They're building blocks. They're literally a room full of building blocks. Right? Yes, they're lots of fun. Yes, you can build high and beautiful towers. Yes, you can enjoy it a great deal. But they all fall down. They all fall down. So at some point, stop being interested in the ideas. Stop being interested in the thinking. And start being interested in the present. I am. But this the same practice as what we talk about. Do not let the not here, not now, infect the here and now. Right? So he's doing the exact same thing there. Do not let the not here, not now affect the here and now. Right? So this is what he's telling you to do. The only thing that's here and now is isness. Right? There's no event, there's no happenings, there's just isness. Don't let any thoughts of the stuff that's not here, what they're doing in the other room, you know, what your family's doing in another continent, what your sick mother's doing at this moment. Don't let the not here come into the here, and don't let the not now, you know, a story of a fight that you're having or the worries about the safety of someone else. Don't let the not now come into the now and affect the now. Stay in the pure here and the pure now. So if it's not in the room with you, don't be concerned about it. If it's not in this moment with you, don't be concerned about it. Place yourself fully here and fully now. And then the only thing to do is to live, express. Express your natural love. Express your natural wisdom. Express your natural being into this pure moment of right here and right now. And just stay there. Just stay there. If the not here doesn't come in and the not now doesn't come in, then there'll be no conceptualization. Right? Just stay with being present, with being here. All right, so you've answered your own question. Why play with ideas? Be content with what you are sure of. And the only thing you can be sure of is I am. Stay with it. Reject everything else. This is yoga. I can reject only verbally. At best, I remember to repeat the formula. This is not me. This is not mine. I am beyond all this. Maharaj, good enough. Right? If that's where you're at right now, if it's all verbal for you, fine. Don't stress about that. Good enough. First verbally, then mentally, and then emotionally, and then in action. Give attention to the reality within you, and it will come to light. It is like churning the cream for butter. Do it correctly and assiduously, and the result is sure to come. So just stay with it. It is sure to come. Right? Take delight. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. Chill out. Sit back. Be aware. Don't play with thoughts and ideas. Be the observer. And take only the moment as your source of information. And be. Ram bingo finished. You will see God.